Hello. How are you today? You're looking stunning. You look great. Honest. Thanks. Hello, best friends, and welcome back to our safe, cozy space of the big wide internet. I am beyond thrilled to see you, and I hope life is just going swimmingly. If you are new here, then hi, my name is Liz, and I'm so happy to meet you. And this is Lily. And as she makes perfectly clear in every video on this channel, she is the main character and we are just basically walking subplots in her world. Yes, you are the main character. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Come Scroll With Me, where we put the social back into social media and scroll together rather than alone. Today we are headed back to my favorite drama-filled little corner of Reddit, r/Am I the Asshole, where people give their side of a story or scenario where they might have originally thought they were in the right, but now they're not so sure. And so they ask strangers on the internet to judge them and vote. I will pop the voting system up here. It's pretty straightforward and it's pretty fun to be able to judge strangers just completely guilt-free because they've literally asked us to. Like, we're doing them a pretty big favor, really, and getting entertained at the same time. And so coming in hot at number 1, we have our first post. Am I the asshole for saying I didn't even want my grandparents to come to my graduation dinner for this reason? Going out to eat with my grandparents has always been an ordeal. They complain and always make the waiter jump through hoops over the smallest things. As someone who's worked too many years in the hospitality industry, I'm already on edge. And for anyone wondering, any amount of years spent in the hospitality industry is too many years. So it was my graduation dinner right after my ceremony. I begged my mum for it to be just us as a family and not invite my grandparents for the above reasons. My mum said it would be disrespectful to not invite them since they went to my ceremony. We get to the restaurant and my grandma has an issue with her burger. The bun is too bready for her. I want to laugh and cry at the same time because this complaint is so absurd, but at the same time, I've dealt with complaints just like this. Don't get me wrong, there are times when it is fully acceptable to complain in a restaurant, and I have no problem with a legitimate complaint when it's called for, but then there are also times when you're like, there are literally people starving all around the world in this very second, but who cares? Please go on and tell me all about how your bread roll is too bready for you. I'm listening. So she complains that she wants the burger remade with whatever they use on the children's menu for burgers. The waitress said it's the same bun, but just a smaller portion. My grandma wanted to see the bun before it was remade, so the waitress brings out the children's bun for examination. My grandma didn't like it and asked for sandwich bread for her burger, but the waitress explained that all the sandwiches they had are served on Texas garlic toast. My grandma said, "That's ridiculous." It's okay, we can go on. At this point, I said this is exactly why I didn't want my grandparents to go, and I asked my dad to just take me home so I could go to my friend's graduation party instead. My dad did so without argument. My mum and grandma are angry at me, and mum tried to ground me for being disrespectful to my grandma. I cancelled my graduation party for next week, and I'm staying with a friend. I'm almost planning to not come back because I'm leaving for college in late August, and my mum is hell-bent on punishing me for my attitude problem and ruining her plans for my graduation party that I'm now not going to. I'm sick of being forced to interact with my mum and grandparents. My dad says he understands and has brought me clothes and stuff to my friend's house while I take a break from my mum. So I remember reading somewhere that you will learn everything you need to know about a person from the way they treat animals and wait staff, or just those in a service industry. It's something along those lines. And going by that sentiment, OP, your grandma does not sound like a nice person that I want to spend any amount of time with. And neither does your mum, for that matter, for not only enabling your grandma, but accusing you of being the problem here. OP Reddit voted, you are not the asshole in this situation, and I completely agree. I'm sorry that your graduation party was cancelled, but just going from the information in this post, it seems like it would have been a whole lot more hassle than what it was worth. I'm also sorry that you've probably dealt with this behavior from your mum and your grandma probably your whole life. And it sounds like your dad probably has too. And that's why he's so understanding. But silver lining, you made it. You're going to college. Hopefully, this is a brand new, fresh start for you. Next, we have, would I be the asshole if I tell my girlfriend who's working on losing weight I prefer her old body? So Opie is a 31-year-old male, and he says, I met my girlfriend Rose, who's 25, when she tutored my nephew, and we've been together for 3 years and moved in together a year ago. That's quite a nice little meet cute, Opie. Rose is someone who loves food. I enjoy taking her to new places to eat and exploring exotic ingredients / recipes together. She is also active in the arts and crafts communities and always offers the nicest advice. And whenever I read through the comments, I could just feel how she made those strangers' days. I think I will never find anyone like her. She is the kindest, sweetest person, and all of my friends and family love her. Even my nephew, who was a demon to all his previous tutors, liked and worked well with Rose. Oh, we love Rose. Rose sounds amazing. But going by the title of this post, OP, I have a feeling you're about to ruin everything. Don't do it. Rose is about 5'8" and weighed about 170 to 180 pounds for most of the time we've been together. She is a bigger girl, but to me, she is just the most beautiful woman ever. I love hugging her full-figured and soft body. I enjoy playing with the little extra flesh on her upper arms and stomach and the plumpness of her cheeks. It also doesn't hurt that her womanly curves are super curvy and full. One of my favorite things was seeing her in a bathing suit for our weekly swim. She was just so huggable. I'm 6'1" and around 190 to 200 pounds for reference. Ever since Rose became a grad student, she has more time to herself and started going to the gym more. She also decided to change the way she eats. We still go on restaurant dates and cook exotic recipes together, but she ate less and often had half her food put in to-go boxes, and our new recipes tend to lean towards the healthier side now. Still delicious and exciting, but it just doesn't feel the same. Rose is now 140 pounds and she is very happy and told me she set 125 pounds as her goal. She also told me she gets lots of compliments from everyone. Her smile was just so sunny, I could do nothing but tell her I was proud of her. On one hand, I love how much bolder she's become, but on the other hand, I just miss her old body. Where her flesh was soft and squishy is now firm. I just really miss all that. I told myself I'm being crazy and selfish. I love Rose, and if she decides to change herself and loves it and is happy, I should support her no matter what. From the health perspective, Rose was a bit overweight before, and she's now heading in a healthy direction. All the more reason to encourage her to stay healthy and fit the way she currently is. I feel like a self-centered piece of garbage for wanting Rose to stay round and soft just for my pleasure. It's her body and her choice. After all, I can't see any happy ending out of this hypothetical discussion. I didn't dare ask anyone about this for fear of being seen as crazy. Still, do I have a say in this? Would I be the asshole if I talked to Rose about how I prefer her round and plump? Okay, so OP, I don't even know why we're here because you've essentially answered all your own questions. It's Rose's body, Rose's choice. Even the explanation you gave when submitting this post for why you think you might have been the asshole was, I shouldn't mess with my girlfriend's decision on what to do with her body. Like, OP, what are we doing here? I feel like I couldn't have said it any better myself. So Reddit voted, yes, you would be the asshole if you start this hypothetical discussion with Rose, and I completely agree. You're 100% right. There would be no happy ending to this hypothetical discussion. And the reason you feel like you would be, in your words, a self-centered piece of garbage if you were to ask Rose to stop losing weight is because that's exactly what you would be. But judging by your post, I feel like you already know all of this. So I'm just wondering as to what your motivation was for making the post in the first place. Were you just looking for confirmation that you were right, or were you low-key looking for justification from commenters in you approaching Rose about her weight loss. Either way, I am so glad you checked with Reddit first so that we could avert this crisis together. Next, we have, would I be the asshole for taking a job that my best friend wanted but didn't get? Okay, so some basic info. I, 21 female, and my best friend, also 21 female, both work for the same company. It is a horse breeding stud. For some context, each did not tell the other we applied for the job last year, as we both went a different route of getting the job. She got it through some connections, while I did over 3 interviews to get the position. So there recently came an opportunity for a certain amount of staff to move to Australia and work their spring and summer and possibly move out there for the rest of our careers. So I and best friend, who we will call Kate, along with 30 others, applied for the position. There is a limited number of spots, 14 in total, and I got one of the top positions, while Kate got an email to state she was rejected from the work program. Oh, that's awkward, OP, but congratulations on the job. Now, Kate has done nothing but talk about how she got the job to friends and family while telling them I had little chance as I didn't have friends in the right places. So to say she was gutted when she got the email was an understatement. She called HR to rage to them about it and said they made a mistake and that they had to fix it at once, as she demanded that she be put on the first flight available. Wow. I went out to dinner with my boyfriend to celebrate the good news. At this point, I hadn't told Kate I was going. Only my boyfriend and my father knew about it. So Kate came over to talk to me, and I knew it was about her not getting the position. While she was over, she was so mad at HR telling her she wasn't suited for the program. Kate then went on to talk about how I didn't get the job, so she didn't feel as bad. It was in that moment I turned to Kate and told her I got the position, and I was just waiting to start the process for my visa. Kate's anger turned to pure, utter rage when I told her this. She began to scream and throw things at me, which included a mug of fresh tea. Kate threw hot tea at you, OP. Did you know this means that your best friend literally assaulted you and you're still best friends? And it also sounds like all of this took place in the middle of a restaurant because you said you went out to celebrate. After she started to calm down, she began begging and crying, asking me to turn down the position so that she could go instead of me. Are you freaking kidding me, Kate? I feel like I need a full background history. We need to be talking to the parents, the teachers, the childhood friends, the siblings to figure out how this audacity and entitlement came about. Kate then went on a rant of how she deserved it more than I did, and it wasn't right for someone like me to go when it was rightfully hers. Kate has gotten her family involved in the situation, telling them I am the reason she can't go because I took her spot, and that I am being selfish and that I haven't put in enough work this year to get this. She has also started to tell people I slept with my manager to get a good recommendation from him for this position. Kate. So would I be the asshole for taking this job? No. OP, for the love of God, please take this job. Kate is the literal worst. She sounds like a 2-year-old throwing a horrific tantrum, a straight up abusive tantrum at that. And I do not want her in Australia. She sounds atrocious. Reddit, of course, agrees you would not be the asshole if you took this job. In fact, in my opinion, the only way you would be the asshole in this situation is if you didn't take the job and didn't immediately terminate your friendship with Kate, because what the hell, Kate? Clearly someone has not been told no enough in their life, and it shows. Moving on, we have, would I be the asshole if I spoke to my in-laws directly about wanting their help more with our kids? I just realized this is our third would I be the asshole in a row. So fun. It's like we're stopping the catastrophes before they even happen. So OP is a 34-year-old female. Her husband is a 32-year-old male. And she says, my husband and I have 2 children, ages almost 2, 21 months and 4 months. Oh, that sounds intense. Naturally, this is a difficult and challenging season of our life. Any parent would understand that we are surviving, not necessarily thriving. My in-laws sold their home 3.5 hours away and purchased a home 1.5 hours away under the veil of being closer to us and being more actively involved grandparents to our 2 children. Since they have moved, we do not see them any more than we did when they lived 3.5 hours away. This breaks my husband's heart. Added, they decided decided to move on their own accord and told us for months it was because they wanted to be closer to us, which was wonderful to hear, and we were excited for them to be closer for things like grandparents' reading day at daycare or for being there on Christmas Day with our kids. I encourage him to ask them directly to come visit, to come over XYZ days when we are free, and encourage him to set up a plan with them so they know we are wanting some help. 2 under 2 has certainly been taxing, and especially the last few weeks. Toddler tantrums. Oh, so they've met Kate from the last post then. I have asked my husband to be more direct and tell his parents we need some help and a break. He instead takes the passive approach of saying, if you're free and want to come visit, we'd love to see you, instead of a direct, we need help. Can you come over? The in-laws have not taken him up on his offers to come visit. My husband is of the opinion that if they wanted to come see their grandkids, they would, so he will not beg or nag, which I don't disagree with. However, we are all at the end of our ropes, and some extra hands to help with the baby and entertain the toddler would be really wonderful. Would I be the asshole if I spoke to my in-laws directly about us wanting their help more? Oh man. And there's more. Additional context, we have both had several mental breakdowns in the last few weeks from overstress, frustration, and exhaustion. My family lives 1,500 miles away. We could hire a sitter or a doula, but this is enmeshed with my husband's desire for his parents to be more actively involved in our kids' lives. There's also a couple of edits edited to add, we are certainly not hoping for someone else to raise our kids. We are also not asking them to come over and babysit. We are asking them to come spend time and maybe feed the baby for us while we tackle some chores or play cards with the toddler so he gets some more one-on-one attention. And edited again, we are not looking for a babysitter, nor is it our intent to leave them with our kids and we leave to go do our own thing away from the home. We are hoping/asking for them to come join us on our crazy Saturday for a few hours. Our kids are in daycare during the week and we both work full time. We are not looking for childcare solutions, just a little relief from the crazy on a Saturday now and then. I am also asking mostly because my husband wants to have his family help and is heartbroken they don't want to help more. We can totally hire someone easily. I am asking how or if it is appropriate for me to tell them directly that we would like their involvement specifically. So this is a tough one. OP Reddit voted yes, you would be the asshole if you directly told your in-laws that you want more help with your kids. I, on the other hand, just don't know. So it sounds like the main thing you're concerned about is talking to your in-laws directly instead of having your husband do it. But unless he's specifically asked you not to talk to them, I just don't see the big deal in asking them for help when you quite clearly seem to need it. A lot of the comments on this post are pretty harsh, to say the least. There's a whole lot of the usual, you're the one that chose to have 2 under 2, that they're your kids, your responsibility, and that your in-laws don't owe you any help. And I get all of that. Honestly, when I was first reading your post, it did give just a little bit of entitlement, but now I'm thinking that entitlement that you're being accused of is probably more likely a little bit of desperation, or maybe even a lot of desperation. But also it feels like you're overthinking and over-explaining everything a lot, and it's just making it worse. I personally can recognize this because I do it all the time. Bottom line, again, unless your husband has specifically asked you to not approach your in-laws directly to ask them for help, I just don't see the big deal in doing that. The worst that happens is they say no and then you don't ask them again. But if that is what happens, please just hire the help, the sitter or the doula that you've mentioned, especially if you and your husband are as overwhelmed and stressed as you sound. I am sure yourself and your husband and maybe even your kids will definitely thank you in the future. Next we have, am I the asshole for taking my future wife's last name? My fiance Nicole, 25 female, and I, 24 male, are engaged and getting married this October. Congratulations, OP. She has a very interesting Nordic last name, and she was clear from the get-go she wants to keep her last name. She has a very close special bond with her parents, and she is one of the last in her family to have her last name. There is only one man in her family with the last name, and he is proudly child-free. I have a rocky relationship with my parents. I don't want to say anything bad about them because I love them to death, but things have not always been good. Since I started dating Nicole, I saw her relationship with her parents and she encouraged me to spend more time with mine. So it has improved within the past few years because I see them frequently and keep them updated with my life. I am the last male with my last name. My fiance is the last childbearing age person with her last name. We aren't planning on kids right now, but it's the fact that we are both the last to possibly pass the name along. I decided because I felt it was important that we shared a last name that I would take her last name. Oh, that's so nice. She and her family were surprised and honored and told me they would support my decisions no matter what. My parents found out that I was changing my name in an inopportune way prior to me sitting them down to talk about it. It did not go over well, and my dad refused to speak to me for a week. My mum would send incoherent texts begging me and pleading with me not to change my last name, saying things like, in our culture, men keep their last names. You can't just change your last name, and that it was disrespectful and I had forsaken my family, and that I was destroying the family by changing my last name. She also said that her future grandkids deserve the name, my German last name. This is just so wrong. Please, please, please don't do it. There are many vitriolic, sexist, and unhinged texts, but these are just a few examples of the things she said. Yeah, I think we've probably got a pretty clear idea of the things that might have been said just from the impression that OP's parents are giving in this post so far. My dad and her refuse to understand that I am a grown adult and they are now essentially disowning me and uninviting me from any family events in the future, like my sister's graduation party or a family trip that is planned and paid for. For context, I am a white American man, so the culture she is referring to is white American culture, I think. So am I the asshole for taking my fiance's last name? Edited to add, her last name is 14 letters and my current one is 8 letters, so hyphenating is not an option. Yeah, so OP, Reddit voted not the asshole on this one, and I wholeheartedly agree. I love that you are taking your fiance's name. I love the reasoning that you have behind it. And I love the relationship you have with your in-laws. It's very rare to come across wholesome, good relationship with in-laws, especially on this sub. And I love that for you. I'm not going to go on a rant about how it's 2023. And yet, in my opinion, there's still that primitive, outdated assumption that a woman will change her name that she's had her entire life when she gets married. Because unlike your parents, I can recognize that that is just my opinion. And while I am entitled to that opinion, I am not entitled to enforce that opinion on anyone else. Honestly, it's kind of sad to see that your mum doesn't recognize that in claiming that a group of letters could destroy a family, that it probably wasn't that strong of a family to begin with. Moving on, we have, am I the asshole for wanting my wife to stay up during a road trip and talk to me? I am writing this now at the hotel where I'm at because I'm genuinely at a loss of words. I don't think I'm in the wrong, but at the same time, she looks really pissed at me. I can literally picture this scene right now. I can feel the tension. I feel like I'm there and we're only a sentence in. My wife, me, and our 2-year-old are going on our first family road trip to California. We rotate driving in shifts, but the problem is that when I was driving, my shift fell during the night, and so I was feeling really lonely and bored as I was driving. I'm not someone that can be left to his own thoughts very well, and I need people around me. I thrive on energy and excitement. My wife is the opposite. She's generally fine with being left alone and can sit quietly for hours and hours upon end. The problem is, at around 11 p.m., I was driving and my wife and our son were in the back seat. I was feeling isolated, so I shook her awake, but then our son woke up and, well, you can probably guess what happens next. My God, OP, I really hope you turn this story around because I am so mad at you right now. Once he quieted down, my wife began to quietly blow up at me about how much of a dick I was being. I told her that it wasn't fair for her to just sleep like that, and it made me feel like a driver. But it was your shift to be the driver, was it not, OP? She then said she doesn't force me to stay awake or engage with her, but I told her that's a cheap blow because we are not the same people. And I kept my mouth shut while she was driving because I know she doesn't like distractions, even though it bothered me terribly. So the least she could do is stop being selfish and help keep me sane. Despite my perfectly logical answer, she apparently got emotional and then started whisper screaming some about how raising one toddler is hard enough and that she didn't know there was another one in the car who needed his whims catered to at every moment. And at that point, since she got rude, I decided to disengage. So you're the bigger person, OP, I get it. Now our whole trip is falling apart and she's making me out to be the bad guy. Hey Lil, sorry to interrupt your sleep, but I just wanted to let you know you need to up your game a little bit because OP is giving way bigger main character energy than you are right now. Okay, so OP, Reddit voted that you're the asshole on this one, and I cannot put into words how hard I agree. Number one, at the very beginning of your post, you've literally admitted to not being very good at being left to your own thoughts very well, and therefore requiring those around you to cater to you by providing, quote, energy and excitement. And you don't seem to see this as a you problem or a character flaw on your part in any way. Number two, you thought it would be acceptable to wake your wife, who was presumably exhausted from her driving shift, at 11 p.m. Not because you were tired or worried that you might fall asleep at the wheel. No. But because of this entitled belief that, again, you've already admitted to, that those around you owe you some kind of excitement and entertainment. Number three, in the process of waking your wife, you woke your 2-year-old child, resulting in what sounds like possibly a full-on meltdown, but in the very least, the huge inconvenience to your wife of having to put a 2-year-old child down to sleep in a moving car for the second time that day. And number four, after all of this, when your wife rightfully called you out on your utter childish bullshit, you had the actual audacity to call her selfish, emotional, and rude. Honestly, I am just so mad at you, OP, and if you are anything like the person you've managed to sound like in this post, then you sound like an incredibly tiresome and exhausting individual, and I am unbelievably sorry for your wife and child that you can't or won't see that. I literally feel like I have to shake this one off. I am so mad. Like, you guys are going to have to let me know in the comments if I am alone, because right now I feel like a cartoon character and like you can see the steam coming out of my ears right now. Okay, we're moving on. But for this next post, I'm going to have to be a teensy bit sneaky and substitute one word for another word that YouTube is notoriously not a fan of. The word I'm going to use is corn, and if it's not immediately obvious what word the actual word is, do not worry, it's going to become obvious as we go into the post. For any littlies listening in the background right now, hi. Just so you know, the person that wrote this next post is really into corn. It's their favorite vegetable, and you should eat all your vegetables so that you grow up big and strong and healthy. Anyway, next we have, am I the asshole for calling my brother-in-law out for subscribing to my corn account? OP says, burner account for obvious reasons. If any clarification is needed, I'll try to be responsive in the comments. So OP is a 29-year-old female, and she says, I have been married to my sweet husband, 33-year-old male, for 2 years, and we've been together for 7 years in total. While my husband is not, his family is very conservative Christian. They are very nice people outside of their beliefs. Wow, that's a very diplomatic yet loaded sentiment there, OP. But he doesn't have much contact with them. Anyways, about 5 years ago, I started making certain kinds of content on certain kinds of platforms that do not line up with my in-laws' values. I make good money and my husband and I live comfortably. My husband is completely supportive, but we don't tell his family what I do because he didn't want them to know. They thought that I still work in insurance. Also, I keep my personal social media separate from the accounts I make corn with, though it's not impossible to connect the two. So basically, if someone was to go all Sherlock Holmes on you, they might realize that your personal accounts and your corn accounts are the same person, I'm guessing. Not too long ago, an account using my brother-in-law's name, Eric, and a username he has on many of his other social media accounts paid to subscribe to me on the site that I use to post adult content. Oh, and it gets worse. I only noticed because I recognized the username when he liked a video I posted. Oh, Eric sounds disgusting. I told my husband about this and we decided to block the account. It was obviously him. So we went out to dinner with my husband's family, including Eric, his wife, and his newborn son, for Mother's Day yesterday. It was a nice get-together initially, but then Eric kept asking me how work was going and kept asking for super specific details. He wouldn't leave me alone, to the point that my father-in-law noticed and cracked a joke about it. I still am not sure what the point of asking me about work was exactly. To make me lie, to embarrass me, to make me confess what I do and shock everyone. He had a look like he was trying to provoke me. Honestly, my first thought, OP, is that he could have even been trying to blackmail you if he thought you were scared of your husband's family finding out. But then with his wife and newborn son there, shouldn't he have been equally scared of being called out on stalking your corn account? Anyways, I lost patience at one BS question he had and said, "You seem like you really want everyone to know that I make corn." I'm sorry, I feel like saying corn makes this more funny instead of jaw-dropping, but holy crap. He started laughing and said he didn't know what I meant by that. I said he had been fixating on what I do for work all night and that it was starting to piss me off because I had just had to block him and refund his money on the site he subscribed to. Yes, good on you, OP. Creepy Eric got called out. Anyways, my husband and I left early. My in-laws clearly don't approve of me now, and Eric and his wife were furious. Eric said his family doesn't want to be around both my husband and myself until I apologize to him and his wife for wrongly accusing him of watching that filth. This mother... The thing is, I 100% believe that it was him, and I don't think it's right that he tried to bully me over something that has nothing to do with him. I want to stand my ground on this, but I also feel bad because my husband is unwillingly in the middle. Okay, OP, Reddit voted you are not the asshole in this situation, and my God, obviously, I agree. Firstly, I think you're right, OP. The fact that the account that you blocked had Eric's name and the name that he uses on multiple accounts online, and that he is then openly antagonizing and bullying you at a family dinner after you blocked him, like he was trying to out you or something, that's all way too big of a coincidence for me to give Eric any benefit of the doubt. He's pulling a classic Darbo on you right now: deny, accuse, reverse victim and offender, and it sounds like it's working. What makes all of this even more infuriating is the hypocrisy on Eric's part, because I'm sure he considers himself also a conservative Christian, and yet he's not only consuming corn, but signing up for a paid subscription to his sister-in-law's corn account. Like, this whole thing is so gross. And OP, if your husband doesn't have your back, I'm sorry, and he definitely should, because Eric's behavior is inexcusable. But moving on again, we have, am I the asshole for not wanting to learn sign language for my son's fiance? My son, Ricky, who is 21, and his boyfriend, Trevor, who is 20, have been together since they were 15. Trevor is deaf and was the drummer for Ricky's band before they started dating. Ricky really wanted me to learn sign language when they first met, especially after they started dating. Thing is, Ricky lived with his dad most of the time, and I originally thought it was just a teenage fling, so I didn't really have Trevor over a lot. I didn't see Trevor a lot because I was constantly going places for work, and I still do. Ricky's still mad at me that I won't take the time to learn, even though I mostly talk to them over chat or video calls where we can send messages or Ricky can interpret. Trevor in all this time hasn't seemed bothered by it, so I just didn't think it was worth it. OP, you're saying they've been together 5+ years, and in all of that time you didn't think it was worth it to at least try and communicate with your child's partner? They got engaged a few months ago, and now Ricky is really pushing me to learn sign language. We were talking about it over chat yesterday, and he told me I was being selfish and unaccommodating to Trevor, and he confided in me that Trevor has always thought I didn't like him or have a problem with deaf people because I wouldn't even make an effort and I never spent much time with him. Am I the asshole here? Okay, OP. So Reddit voted yes, you're the asshole here. And once again, I have to wholeheartedly agree. Honestly, you had me for like most of the first part of your post. Like you sounded a little bit dismissive, maybe a bit insensitive, but everyone's different and I could have let it slide. But your son, Ricky, has now been with Trevor for 5+ years. They're getting married, and you can't dismiss this relationship as a teenage fling any longer like you did originally. And honestly, I feel like it should have been a long time before now that you started trying to make Trevor feel welcome and connect with him. And just because he hadn't said anything up until this point, it sounds like Ricky, your son, has been desperately trying to spell it out to you for years and you just haven't been listening. Luckily, from your post, it sounds like Ricky and Trevor are very kind and accommodating and are willing to work with you. And my suggestion to you, OP, would be to be really grateful for that and start making an effort ASAP. Next, we have, am I the asshole for getting annoyed at my wife for having no nappies in the nappy bag? So I, 35-year-old male, took the baby, 2-year-old female, out the other day while my wife, 35-year-old female, was at work. I am prepared for several hours out of the house. Snack, juice, books, don't mess with duck, which I highly recommend, etc. I grab the nappy bag, throw it in the pram and leave. We go to the pub for a spot of lunch. We read a story, I drink some of my pint, and then the baby poos. No problem, I threw the nappy bag into the pram. I go through said bag and there are no nappies. I just feel like every parent has experienced some version of this. It's 21 degrees outside. She is in a dress and I have promised the park. I am panicking. There are trousers in the bag. Do I just bang them on and style it out? Do we sack off the park and go home? Do I just deal with that meltdown? Luckily, the pub have nappies in the changing room and I bang her in some tight-fitting neonatal nappies and we head for the park. That sounds like a win, OP. When I get home, my wife gets annoyed at me for not checking the bag before leaving. My standpoint, if you use the last nappy, you should replenish the bag and the nappy bag is a grab bag. She thinks I am the asshole for not checking. I think she is the asshole for not replenishing the nappy supply in the bag when she uses the last one. So Reddit, am I the asshole? Edit, several hours later, I should have checked the bag. I get it. It is my fault. Thanks, guys. I will apologize when she gets home. You guys are mad with all the comments calling me a useless dad. It's amazing. I'm sensing a small amount of sarcasm there, OP, but yes, Reddit did vote you the asshole on this one, and I agree. In an ideal world, sure, the nappy bag would be restocked when you get home if you've used all the nappies in there. And I'm sure there are some households that run that way, but clearly, OP, your household is not one of those households. And honestly, I could understand a little bit if your daughter was a newborn or just a little bit older, but she's 2 years old, and by now you've got no excuse to not be doubly and triply rechecking that bag every time you step foot out of your house. And if you fail to do that, you cannot pin the blame on your wife. Sorry, but not sorry. Moving on, we have, am I the asshole for cancelling the entire vacation when I found out that my stepdaughters deliberately hid my daughter's passport to get her to stay home? I've been married to my wife, Beth, for 5 years. I have a bio daughter named Jessica, she's 18, and I also have 2 stepdaughters named Monica and Leah. They're 25 and 28. Both are single mums and live with us currently. It sounds like you have a full house, OP. There's been issues about my stepdaughters asking my daughter to babysit the kids. Jessica didn't have a problem with it at first since this is what she does to earn money, but since her stepsisters don't pay her much, she just refused to babysit. We worked this out by having my wife take care of paying for the babysitting. Okay. I planned a family vacation for 3 days and everyone wanted to go. However, both Monica and Leah suggested that Jessica stay home and watch the kids since Beth doesn't want her grandkids to come. So your wife doesn't want the grandkids on vacation, so naturally your daughter should have to miss out as well so your stepdaughters can keep their free sitter. Yeah, this all sounds perfectly fair. They said it's because the kids are used to Jessica and hiring another babysitter would cause issues. And also said that Jessica isn't too fond of our destination, but it was obvious that Jessica wanted to go. They insisted, and Beth offered to pay her double, and there was just a lot of back and forth on this till I demanded they stop bringing it up. We were supposed to go last week, but when everybody had bagged their bags and was time to go, Jessica found out she didn't have her passport on her. We searched her bag and then went home and searched there. Beth and my stepdaughters kept insisting that we go back to the airport or else we'd miss our flight. They insisted that Jessica stay home with the kids. Jeez, what happened to leave no man behind? They even told the new babysitter to go home because she was no longer needed. I refused to go and kept searching for the passport till Monica admitted that she had helped Leah hide Jessica's passport to get her to stay home with the kids. So basically, these girls are literally Cinderella's evil stepsisters, is what I'm gathering here. I was livid. I tried to get her to tell me where it was, but she said Leah had it. Leah denied, so I threatened to cancel the vacation. That's when they gave it back. I decided to actually cancel the vacation and blew up at both of them and berated them. They stayed upstairs for a while, and Beth refused to speak to me and said that I punished my stepdaughters for worrying about their kids and wanting to help them stay with someone they know. So basically, the mum is okay with all of this and is essentially Cinderella's evil stepmother. I got told I overreacted and ruined the trip for everybody. Editing to mention that kicking my stepdaughters out isn't possible since my wife co-owns the house that we currently live in. Okay, so I know that our last visit to Am I the Asshole had the theme of weddings, but I just noticed that today's visit has the unintentional theme of entitlement. OP, Reddit voted you're not the asshole in this one. I say you're not the asshole. To me, the only assholes in this situation is your evil stepdaughters and very likely your wife, because I find it very hard to believe that she had no idea about this plot that her daughters were cooking up. I can't believe poor Kate is younger than her stepsisters by like an entire decade and yet manages to be the most mature of the group. I hate that your wife tried to defend her daughters, saying they were just worried about their children, when clearly they were just trying to score a free vacation and to keep their free babysitter stranded at home. I mean, let's be real, there's no way they were paying their way on this trip. OP, your stepdaughters are the worst. Your wife isn't that much better. And I'm glad they all missed out and Kate deserves better. Lucky last, we have Am I the Asshole for slowly throwing away all of my sister's belongings? So OP is a 28-year-old male and he says, okay, so after I got kicked out of my apartment, I needed a new place to stay. My sister, 24-year-old female, is staying at her friend's house and says they are cool with me crashing for the summer. I only need about 3 months anyways. When I show up, the place is a mess. And even worse, the room I was supposed to take is a dump ground for my sister's stuff. The kitchen is cluttered and disgusting. The bathroom is cluttered, moldy, and stinky. I decided to stay anyway because, hey, free rent. So we're still going strong with our unintentional entitlement theme here, basically. Over the course of the past month, I have been cleaning and decluttering everywhere I could. I can't believe her friends put up with her. Actually, I can. She is also responsible for the mess. I have thrown away countless cups, plates, canned food, candy, pasta, coffee, tea, hair accessories, cheap rings, sandals, Tupperware, trash, clothes, hats, and countless socks, etc. I know it sounds like this stuff could have been donated, but all her clutter comes from cheap dollar stores. They both love having me as a roommate because they think I am handy. I am. Honestly, at this point, I'm pretty speechless, so we're just going to power right on. Slowly, my sister has been noticing her stuff missing. She has questioned me and even called me asking if I have seen her shoes or whatever. I just deny seeing it and say I only throw away expired food, duplicates, or broken stuff. I am able to get away with throwing stuff out because I only do it on trash day. LOL. OP, really, lol. I just can't with you. Yesterday I messed up though because I forgot it wasn't trash day. I had filled the trash can with a bunch of my sister's clothes and I was too lazy to take the trash out. She rarely uses the kitchen trash can anyways since she doesn't clean up after herself. I was wrong and she noticed. I came home to an emptied out kitchen trash can in the middle of the kitchen and she demanded I explain myself. I simply said that I had a trash box and a good good box and that I emptied out the wrong box while I was decluttering the laundry room. She didn't buy it. I am doing her a favor and her friend a favor, but they just don't see it. Am I the asshole? Yes, OP, you are unbelievably the asshole. So much the asshole. And Reddit agrees. Just the audacity and again, the entitlement. You are living there for free thanks to the kindness of your sister and her roommates' hearts. And you not only drag on their cleanliness and the way they keep their house, but you throw away your sister's clothes and shoes and then straight up lie about it when you're caught out. How did you think this post was going to go? Because I am at a loss. Okay, so OP's made an edit. Okay, people, I am the asshole. After reading many comments and arguing with y'all, I see it now. I still need time to think about what to do next, but I for sure need to apologize and offer to replace everything. What I have learned, I was essentially stealing. They didn't ask for my help. My actions make hoarding worse. Not sure if it's full-on hoarding, but I am not helping. They are doing me a massive favor, not the other way around. I am a guest. Detail I left out, I have no job. I got kicked out of the last apartment because the landlord wanted her daughter to move closer to her. I am sleeping on the couch because that's the only space available at the moment. I am genuinely glad that we got there, OP. Please, if you haven't already, apologize to your sister, and for the love of God, do not throw out any more of her things because she sounds like a genuine saint. And if after all of this, she's still willing to let you crash on her couch for free, you do not want to mess it up, seeing as it sounds like you've got nowhere else to go. But that is us done, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts on the pure audacity and entitlement that we witness in these posts today, because I just feel like I need to scream into a pillow real quick or something. But thank you so much for hanging out with me and Lily today. If you are still here and not already subscribed, then we would both love if you did that so that we can all be best friends forever and ever and ever. If you are subscribed and you're here with us hanging out all the time, thank you so much. Your support is just amazing and we love you so much. I hope you have an amazing week and that you don't encounter anyone similar to the individuals that we read about in these posts today. And me and Lily will be counting down the hours until we see you in the next one. Bye.